Good morning. This is the
Good
Blaze Road
morning.
webcast that can be found each week on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also listen in on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Get more information about previous shows, future shows, all the good stuff like that at my website behind me, blainsworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and I'm here in my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. Each week, we focus on positive news and information about people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce Cory Boughton, an actor, writer, and filmmaker, being my guest today. Cory, you can feel free to wave to all your fans and friends who are watching this.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, that is Cory. Cory has been a member of ACT has been involved with ACT for over 20 years and has worked with the Autumn Players in the past two seasons. He is also a actor, writer, filmmaker with a small film production company here in Asheville, LNL Productions. And Cory, the first question I always ask when I meet somebody for the first time on the air is, as a kid, you grew up where?
I grew up mainly Central Florida. Got some ties to upstate New York. A lot of my family's from there, but I spent a lot of my time in Central Florida growing up.
As a kid growing up, did you always know you wanted to be in the theater?
Pretty early on, I was auditioning for Disney productions and things down there from a pretty young age. I was always doing productions with the elementary schools. I was in gifted, so they would always do extra productions with the gifted students. And yeah, I was always involved with theater from an early age. Always enjoyed it.
Question: do you remember the very first show you were ever in?
Ooh, let's see. Yes, come to the fair. I was the ring tamer. Yeah, the
And
ringleader.
was that elementary school or where was that done?
Yeah, elementary might have been kindergarten, first grade. I think it was about five.
Well, you remember it. Now, here I have this idea I've shared with other people. I'll share it with you as well. But I want some local theater, Cory, to do a fundraiser where everybody would recreate their very first role. You know, like that role as a kid. Did anybody take a videotape of it?
I believe they're at VHS, of course, but
Okay.
yeah, I think there's a VHS tape somewhere of it.
Okay, somewhere. But wouldn't it be cool that everybody would recreate their very first role? And I just think it'd be a lot of fun. So maybe someday we'll do it together. But I want to do it with somebody, so you
Yeah.
can create a 5-year-old role. So you started out as a kid being in various productions. Did you continue acting thereafter?
Yes, most of my life. Well, I guess I took a little break. I didn't do acting when I was in high school, so I wasn't a thespian in high school. But I picked it back up when I moved to Asheville in my early 20s. There were some small theater production companies doing theater for the love of it, not for school, not really for to make money doing it. They were just doing it because there were scripts they wanted to do and play roles in. And it really kind of changed me what you can do with it, how it brings people together, how it moves audiences, how it moved me as a person. So it was really at that point kind of I picked up the bug again, and I've been
You
doing it
mentioned
ever
to
since.
me off the air, I know you did some stuff at BB Theater. Like, so mostly it was like kind of small stuff you were doing, small theaters.
Yeah, by the time, well, yeah, I had longer hair when I started, so it was a little harder to get roles, and then I kind of cleaned up my act, and yeah, I was able to kind of work at some of the bigger theaters in town. I did main stage ACT shows, got in a couple shows that were private productions that were done at NC Stage Company as well. Did some stuff there, and eventually did a show at Dinah Wortham right before I moved in
So
2008.
what was your favorite show you ever did? Or one of the favorite?
Ever did. That's tough. I've played John Proctor in The Crucible. That's an amazing role to
Okay,
play.
sure.
I've played John Wilkes Booth in Assassins, that Sondheim musical. That's an amazing piece to do. Uh, Man, I love physical comedy. I've done several major physical comedy roles, and those are always fun to do as well. I just finished The Cottage at Lees McRae College this summer and did that for them. But yeah, there's lots of shows. It's hard to choose one. That is a tough one.
Well, how about if not choosing one?
Which I like more than any.
How about if not choosing one? How about a show you'd like to do that you haven't done?
The Hairy Ape. That is one I've always wanted to produce, and it doesn't get done very often. It's very dated. I've thought about trying to modernize it and do something with it that way, or do you do the original and maybe take the hit? But I think it's just an absolutely beautiful show that is very relevant to all times. So
What's cool about it, I haven't seen it, so that'd be kind of cool. That I don't know if it's ever been done in Asheville area.
not that I know of.
The
Yeah,
Hairy Ape, is that a musical or drama?
drama. Yeah.
Drama. Okay, some to look forward to. Too bad we didn't know each other because I guess within the last year they did The Assassins at Heart, and they did a great
Mm,
job with it. It's quite a play,
yeah, an
so
amazing production.
so what got you then? So you came back into this area. How long you been in the Asheville area?
Moved back right before COVID, actually. So yeah, about 5, 6 years now. I moved back and was planning on just kind of doing film stuff for a little while, and kind of took me a couple of years producing. I did a short and then produced a feature here. That took up a couple of years, and so I really wasn't even focused on theater until about 2 years ago. Again, here where I realized I had some extra time and could maybe start involving myself with the theater companies around again.
It was kind of interesting. So you got involved in some of the stuff through ACT again, and you're doing what the Autumn Players. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and for the benefit, we've done some other shows on the Autumn Players, but for the benefit of folks who don't know what Autumn Players is, what is it exactly?
Autumn Players was designed to keep people involved in the theater after people had gotten to the point where learning lines, or maybe the 5 nights a week of rehearsing and driving at night and things like that, was becoming too difficult. It was a way to involve actors and non-actors, people that just wanted to be involved with the theater or a theater production, but didn't want the full weight of a production on their shoulders. That was how I was always seen it. I mean, there might be other reasons to do readers theater, but for me, it was so that you could involve people and take out some of the extraneous things of theater that can become difficult, blocking, props, all of those sorts of things that can kind of, where people just want to focus on the words and the characters and things like that. Readers theater can really kind of bring that out of people when other things can get in the way.
And one of the cool things about having you involved in Reader's Theater is I know even when I first got here, it used to have the impression it was only for people in the 60s,
Mm-hmm.
But now it's kind of nice that they're having a whole gamut of people doing some of these Reader's Theater productions. And like you said, yeah, it's a lot nicer to not have to do 6 weeks of rehearsals, 4 nights a week or something. So that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of cool. So you've been involved in a couple of the Reader's Theater productions over the last couple of years. What were some of them?
I was Algernon in The Important of Being Earnest last season. That was a fun one to do. I was also Nikki in Over the River and Through the Woods. I played Anthony Wilding in Enchanted April. Uh, gosh, those were three major ones that took up a lot of that first season. This past season, we've done My Three Angels. I think that closed out last season as well, where I got to play one of the convicts in that. But yeah, I've done 3 or 4 roles over the past, two seasons or so, and just continue. It's fun when you get to kind of move through them that quickly. Usually, yeah, you're sticking with a role for a much longer period of time, and when you do one for 3 weeks and then you're doing something else within the next month, literally, it's kind of fun.
And one of the nice things about I think Autumn Players is it has also evolved over the years because even though you said it doesn't necessarily involve all the aspects of a typical theater, there is now more and more blocking and even people wearing costumes. And our mutual friend Ellen Pappas, she kind of changed my whole thinking of that because it used to be just people get 6 people would get up in front of a music stand and just read. But now it's very close to being at a regular show. It's kind of exciting that they're going a step above, or at least some of the stuff that One of the Players does. And that's kind of exciting, which segues into then you're going to be in an upcoming play in what, next month?
Mm-hmm.
And what play is that?
Mornings at 7, the
Okay.
American classic.
Okay, well, I should admit it, but for the people who also don't know it real well, what's the play about?
Well, it's about the Bolton family, 4 sisters that all live in the same town still, which is pretty typical of early Americana. Um, Families wouldn't move that far apart. In this case, they moved one house down from each other, and then somebody maybe moved 5 or 6 houses down or just across the way. So you have a very, very close knit community. You have a very large family that is kind of bleeding into all parts of that community. There's themes of, family dynamics, community. There's also, very large themes of aging, but aging in different forms. There's some things about kind of aging from a child into a man or a woman. There's also themes of getting older, you know, and the world kind of passing you by and regretting your past and some of those kinds of things. So there's some beautiful themes to it. I wouldn't say it's centrally on one or another. So
Now, was that a movie also?
I believe there was. I didn't look up some of the movie stuff. I know I haven't seen the film. If there is one, there was a revival that really brought it back. Its original 1939 Broadway run did not fare well. I think it was even kind of considered a commercial failure at the time, but they revived it in, I believe, 1980. And in 1980, when they revived it, it won the Tony for Best
Oh,
Revival
really?
that year.
Wow.
And it
Chris,
stayed for a long time. And that's where it really garnered its kind of name as an American classic at that point.
because as describing it, it almost sounds like a typical Katharine Hepburn film, with her three sisters or something,
I could see it. Yeah, it's very much has so much of that kind of classic film quality. And even as we've been directing it, the director has been directing some of it for the actors in a almost cinematic way, in a way of really touching on these moments between family members and really finding all these little quirks and the pauses and the timing of these scenes. It's beautifully written, and it has some of that quality to it. It almost plays like a film in scenes. So
well, let me ask you, as an actor, how do you feel about, if there was a film, seeing a film before you're going to do a show? Or have you ever done that in the past? I hear
I
you
always
on
choose
that.
not to. I've done it a few times, and I always choose to watch the film after I perform the role. If I'm performing, especially, I don't want to be, even though it might be a much better performance than what I will come up with, I'd like to come up with it solely on my own and then see what other people did with it later. And I wouldn't want to mimic that, and I wouldn't want to have that affect what I find on the way. So,
But if you ever act in shows, like you said, that you may have seen 20 years ago or 10 years ago, um,
mm.
but your approach is kind of an interesting one. It might be kind of fun. So after the run is over, then you'll try to see the film?
Yeah, like I did Streetcar Named Desire. It was
Okay.
very hard not to want to watch that, watch that film several times during the rehearsal process. And I stayed away from it, and I think it was during the cast party or pretty much that weekend after we closed, I got a copy of the film and watched it
Where
again.
you do Streetcar Named Desire?
Down in Orlando at Theater Downtown.
Oh, and so what was your role in that?
Mitch, I played Mitch.
And I'm trying to think, in the film, who was Mitch?
Um, Pulling that one on me.
Doesn't matter. But no, that's interesting. So that was a that was regular show, not Reader's Theater.
Correct. Yeah, professional.
Wow, exciting show, huh? Was it?
Oh, wonderful show to do. Absolutely.
So let's now go back to the show you're currently in. So it's coming up. What are the dates it's going to run at?
It's October 3rd, 4th, and 5th. It'll be that weekend.
Okay.
I
And
believe
one of
that
the
is
cool
the first
things you may have
weekend
in
of
front of you, one of the cool things seeing the show is they can see it two times at what, ACT at 35 below?
Yep.
Okay. And then
Friday,
one time,
Saturday, and then the Sunday will be at the Ollie Center on the UNCA campus.
okay. And so for the benefit of the folks who don't know the show yet or who's in it, we'll start with the director, very fine director is,
Peter Thomason,
okay.
who some of you might have seen as Jeeves in New York, North Carolina Stage Company, also several Readers Theater shows over the past several years. Probably a lot of other stage productions if you've been around the country. He's done quite a bit.
Did you see him in Jeeves?
Yes, this past year I did.
It's
Yeah.
just fantastic. And it kind of points out an interesting thing, Corey, to talk about the quality of the people in the shows. Not only you being an actor as well, but Peter has done some pretty major stuff. And he's done stuff, I said, North Carolina stage. And just every time he's in Jeeves, just cracks me up. And to have him directing is pretty exciting. Um,
Yeah, and as far as I know, I'm not sure how much directing he's done in the past. This, I believe, the last show when we did Bridge Narrows this season, and he directed that. That was his first, I think, Readers Theater directing. I'm not sure that was his first thing directing ever, but first Readers Theater, and this will be the second. So it's been fun for him to kind of put on those shoes as well, and get to work with him in that way.
Now, have you directed also?
Yes, I've directed some smaller productions, films, short films, radio dramas. I've helmed lots of different productions, not as many large scale stage productions, but
Just
lots
some,
of small stuff, black box shows and random types of productions, films, and things like that.
Is that something you want to get more into?
Yeah, as I get older, I still really enjoy acting. When there's things that I can't act in, then I enjoy directing and producing.
It's funny, I ask you that question for a reason, because many times I'll ask an actor, they'll tell me they prefer directing or they like directing, but they're not telling the truth always, Corey, because the reality is they don't have to memorize lines that way, um, you
Some
know,
people don't like it. Some people still like the challenge. I don't know.
memorizing lines.
Yeah.
Well, but
Some people need to stay sharp. That's for sure.
even when we talk about this, even back to Reader's Theater, even though the lines per se aren't memorized, they seem pretty close to it, in terms of, I guess, you've gone through it so many times and read it that you pretty much know the script without, having to memorize it per se. Talk about that process. Like, how many rehearsals will you be having for the current show before the show runs?
There's usually only about 6 rehearsals, 2 a week. We rehearse for 3 weeks. Sometimes with the timing, one of the shows might get an extra rehearsal or two, maybe, but it's typically only about 6 rehearsals
Okay.
that we
But
meet together and actually go over stuff.
But I guess with the 6 rehearsals and the fact you have the script in front of you, at some point in time you get to know the script pretty well, I guess. You know. Um,
Yeah, it's actually it's a unique exercise for actors, I think, because there's the element where you want to learn the lines and not look at the script anymore, and this is where you have to still have the script, even if you memorize it. You have to flip the pages. You have to be on book. You can't not be on book in a reader's theater show. So there's an element of kind of like learning it, but not learning it 100%, so that you can pull it off the page in a unique and natural way each time.
and yet
For
when
me, that's been a very unique kind of thing to go through the first couple times.
and when I've seen some of the stuff from Tap, and especially when Ellen's directed or Peter's been in the shows too, it feels like I'm watching live theater. I can't really tell if people are reading it. As opposed to, I was telling you before, it used to be at NC Stage where just 6 people get up in front of a music stands, and there it felt, for us. This doesn't, which is really cool. Aside from Peter directing it, do you have in front of you or some of the other people in this coming production? Do you have the names in front of you?
Yeah, yeah. We've got Mike Corrigan playing our Thor. That's one of the husbands of one of the sisters. Um, then we have one of the sisters, Cora's, who's Thor's wife. That's going to be played by Anna Marie Aarons. Ari, who's one of the sisters, is played by Terry Duraci. We have, let's see, Carl, who is the husband of Ida, being played by Jure Bolnick. We have Ida, which is one of the sisters, being played by Susan Mengels. We have Homer, who is their son, played by John Long. And then we have, let's see, then we've got Myrtle, who is Homer's fiance, being played by Christina DeBook. We have David, who is Esther's wife, being played by Kevin, and his last name is not Blomberg, I don't believe. I don't have his last name in front of me. I apologize. And then we have Barbara Blomberg playing the fourth sister, the eldest sister. And then, yeah, she kind of rounds out our cast, our full nine.
It's funny, as you mentioned some of them, I know Terry and Susan and several of them I've seen elsewhere, both in Reader's Theater productions and also in main stage ACT productions. And they're really quite good. It's just like, so you're getting me excited about the show. Who would you recommend? Who should see the show?
I would suggest anyway. I mean, it's children friendly. There's nothing inappropriate about it. They might not find the themes interesting. There's not a lot for kids to really latch onto, I think. But anyone who, appreciates a good, I mean, anything small town Americana, if you can appreciate something period, something heartfelt, something truthful. That's one thing that I think me and Peter both really gravitated towards this, was the truthful and the honesty of the characters. There's a lot of things that are said in this that just feel like straight out of something that you've heard before or heard in another lifetime, if it's not period friendly to right now. But it's very truthful, and how these people talk to each other is very truthful. And when you have a writer who kind of understands those relationships and understands when people know absolutely every last thing about each other and they've grown up together and they've raised their kids together. And the level of comfortability that people had in those communities and the way they could talk and the way they could gossip and the way that things could move like wildfire through the community. That's kind of some of those things that are really, really shine in this script for
Who was the
for the
author of it?
actors to get to play.
Who wrote it?
Paul Osborne.
Okay. So I guess one tip off, if you liked Our Town, you're going to probably like this.
Yes. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
say there's a little more energy than our town in this too.
okay. No, but
Our
just
town,
saying,
I've snoozed a little through that one sometimes, but this one's a little hard to do. It's good.
no, it sounds interesting. So aside from this, Cory, I won't put you on the spot quite yet, but you mentioned you also do film work and talk about the film work you've done and want to do.
Well, I guess I mean I was in one of the early feature films that was done here called Scapegoat around 2008, 2009. A really popular indie film was made here. I was one of the characters in that. That was kind of one of the first indie features that I really kind of got to be a part of, besides ones that we had done here. There was a film that was called Vance that was made in 2004, 2005 that I produced and co-directed and shot a good bit of. And that film is really neat. I mean, that features a lot of Asheville. A big portion of it was shot on UNCA campus during a summer where they gave us carte blanche on the campus. And it was a really special time to be making indie film in Asheville. There was a lot of rules that were easier handled back then. And it was awesome. And got to be kind of part of those, which was nice. And then
You're
moving to
involved.
Orlando.
What is Asheville has that 24-hour film? Is it 24-hour film festival or
48 hour, I think.
48?
Yeah, there might even be a 24-hour now, I think. But yeah, 48 hours is the one that's more, yeah, been around longer. I've done
We
a
are
couple
really,
of those. Those are pretty
we,
stressful.
I can imagine.
The last couple hours are just really tough. Everybody's always rushing and sprinting and speeding to get the film there. It's always a little chaotic at the end.
So now, in terms of stage versus film, do you have preference as to what you like being involved in?
Producing, I think I've probably done more film, and I like doing that so far. I think I would enjoy producing theater. I just haven't done as much of it. But as an actor, there's nothing like the stage. I mean, being able to stay in character for the entire thing, and that is such a more powerful moment for an actor than even when you have an amazing script, but you're stopping and starting over 2 months or something to shoot the whole project.
And what's really cool, and I'd like to hear what you have to say about it, is the fact that you also produced stuff. And so, what does that actually entail for the benefit of folks who have no idea what a producer does?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's everything. You're doing everything. Every job you see on indie films, that's really what a producer does. All the jobs that are typically that you see at the end of a film in the credits that you couldn't afford, a producer does that job as well. So, I mean, for me in indie film, it's a lot of you're doing the casting, the location scouting. If there's going to be other producers or money involved, you're doing that. If there's permits, going to the city and getting all your permits locked down, securing equipment, rentals, there's just every last little detail comes down to that. And then when you put on the director hat, it's good to not make the director do all that so they can kind of focus on the performance and the actual vision of the work, and really just kind of focus on that at that time. But it's a lot of hats usually.
Have you ever done both being producing, directing, and then acting as well? Have you done it all in one time?
Yes, the short film that just won the Asheville Film Fest Best Cinematography Award was my film Lady in Black.
Oh, very
So
nice.
that won a few weeks ago for Best Cinematography. That was shot here in Asheville right around 2018. I produced it, I wrote it, I directed it, I acted in it, I edited it, and I did the sound design.
Okay.
Those were all a lot of the major hats that I wore for that. For the feature film that I've just done recently, I've written it, produced it, directed it, starred in it, edited it, and did the sound design. So
What was that film?
it's called Free the Airwaves. You can
Okay.
see the official trailers on YouTube. It is actually looking to break the Guinness Book of World Records for film with the most songs. It has a lot of music in it, and a lot of it is local music that was donated and was made by Asheville musicians over the past 20 so years.
Very cool. So that'll be coming out.
Yeah, we're looking at distribution and possibly selling it. We've talks with Guinness to right now the record we're trying to break is a non-contended record, so we have to actually let us contend for the record and then break it, and yeah, it's a whole thing. But once we have that and we can sell it and distribute it, it'll be available.
Very cool. So if people want to track that or find out about that film, how do they keep track of it?
You can Google Free the Airwaves. There's Facebook sites, YouTube pages. It's got all the stuff out there. There's stickers around Asheville with a QR code. If you click on that, it'll take you to all the information for the film on a link tree. But the easiest way, I mean, yeah, there's a YouTube channel with the trailer. You can, subscribe to that, or the Instagram page, subscribe to that, and that'll keep you up with updates and stuff.
So that must be very exciting. Is this the first full-length film you've done like this?
Feature that I've written. I've produced other features. This is my first written production, yeah, that I've produced.
And so you wrote the whole thing yourself?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very exciting. The when you do something like that, are you kind of guy, do you get up every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning and write for 5 hours straight, or how do you go about the writing?
For that feature, I was living in New York at the time, looking for an idea for my first feature film script. And it was a true story of something that had happened in Asheville 20 years ago involving Free Radio Asheville, the pirate radio
I
station at
remember
the
it,
time.
yeah.
And I was involved with that. So there was this great story that people had told me for years. This is good enough for a movie. You got to tell this story. And I had journals and set lists and tapes from the shows and all of that kind of stuff. And we just started compiling and kind of building the script. And eventually I, had a good enough idea for the rough draft. I did what's called a beat outline. That's something anyone is probably needing to do if they're wanting to write a feature film script. Look up beat outlines. It's very important. And then once you have that, and you have a beat outline, you can really kind of just start moving through the storyline of the script, because beat by beat where it has to go. And at that point, it moves pretty quickly once you have an idea, for me.
So it must be very exciting. And now, so your challenge, I guess, is then get into production to eventually.
Yeah, it sat on the shelf for a lot of years. You finish the script and then you look at it and you send it to friends and say, wouldn't it be cool to make this film? And then comes COVID. I moved to Asheville, wasn't planning on making the film right away, but COVID hit. Everybody that I knew was kind of not working and sitting around and didn't know what they were going to do with their life for the next year. And I said, well, I've got a script that takes place in Asheville, and we're all kind of sitting here not doing anything. We could work on this. We could do this. And it just so happened I have some great friends and some people that wanted to make it happen. And it took about a year, but we made it. We got everything shot in about a year.
So it's already been finished, the film?
Yeah, we finished it. We finished shooting it in 2021. We screened the first version of it in 2022 to a sold out crowd at Asheville Pizza Company. We got standing ovations. People
Very
loved
exciting.
it. But then, yeah, music rights and all that have kind of kept it from being released. And so we've been changing a lot of music. Now we have a new score completely with all this legal music that we own. And now we can look at distribution and stuff. So
that's something else you're doing in your spare time.
yeah,
You're acting, you're directing, doing all this stuff, and you're trying to get this film eventually produced so that other people can see it.
exactly.
Well, you got me interested. Keep me interested in that. I'd love to find out more about
Yeah, we
that.
should have a whole meet about that. Yeah, go look
No,
at
it
that.
just the story is fascinating. I
It's a
could
good one.
see. I don't know if you've ever written about it, or hopefully you will at some point in time. But that'd be a great just article or story just to see the steps involved.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, that'll be your second film. Producing the show or getting the show off the ground would be a great documentary, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I've literally thought of the making of Free the Airwaves could be the next film.
Yeah, exactly. And then Free the Airwaves Part Two, whatnot.
Yeah.
That sounds really cool. So, aside from those two things you're working on in your spare time, anything else you're working on that you can share?
I just finished a show this summer out in Lees McRae. So I just did The Cottage. That was fun. I've been auditioning for other shows around town. So fingers crossed, I might get to end up in something sooner than later. But yeah, as far as that, I also am a health insurance agent here in town. So with open enrollment coming up, I usually have to take a few months off at the end of the year to assist clients and things like that. So I've got that coming up as well, and probably won't be planning too many more big projects through the end of the year, but you never know.
So, out of all the stuff you do, aside from the health insurance stuff, is there one favorite thing you do? I mean, I'm really kind of blown away by this. Produce, direct, act, write. Is there one favorite thing you do out of all that stuff?
Acting is definitely up there. It's always been the firstborn love. Writing is probably a close second. I really do love putting ideas to paper and putting my ideas to word. That's like it's such a special thing to be able to express ourselves and then to really flesh out ideas that way. The filmmaking thing, that is really important when I have an idea. When I'm making a film, then it's all about the film. I'm kind of like a, I don't know. I've heard Scorsese say that about it too. Like anything to make the film, and I really do get it when I'm making a film. It's just everything else puts it on the shelf, and I just focus on that. But right now, I'm not making one, so yeah, I'm acting.
And it certainly sounds like it keeps you busy. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
I'd like to just have you recap. So, if folks want to get in touch with you, I guess there are two things they can do. One, is there an Instagram, Facebook page? Any best way to track you down?
Me, I have a website with kind of all my information, coryboughton.com. That's out there for just, booking me as far as this sort of stuff, production assistant, looking to help produce your film, looking to help you rehash your script, that sort of stuff. Yeah, they can contact me directly through the website.
And we should mention, by the way, if you would, so it's Cory Boughton, and how do you spell both the first and last name in there?
Cory, Cory, Boughton, Boughton
And
.com.
no dot in the middle, just Cory.
Nope, just my
Okay.
name.
So
Yep.
best way to track you down is through the website. And
Yeah.
so if people want to reach you, that's how to reach you.
Yeah, if they wanted to, yeah, get in touch with me professionally for some reason, that would be the way, probably.
And if you would just repeat again, if they also want to meet you personally or see you in an upcoming show, the dates and location of that.
Well, I won't be in the next show, but are we talking about mornings at 7?
No, I'm
That's going to
talking
be
about TAP.
October 3rd through 5th.
No, but you're going to be in TAP, right? You're going to be in that one?
No, I'm just co-directing this one.
Oh,
Mornings
gotcha.
at 7. I'm not in. Yeah, unless somebody gets sick, and I have to step in, or two people would probably have to get sick, and then maybe I'd step in. I don't know. We'd see, but
But something you've been
yeah,
involved in, they can see that. Okay, great.
yeah, that's going to be, yeah, October 3rd through the 5th. Yeah, at ACT 35 below, the Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday at the Ollie Center on UNCA campus.
Anyway, I'd like to thank you, Cory Baffer, for being my guest on this edition of the Blaine's World show. I'd also like to thank my producer, Cappy Dassetti. And what I'd like to do someday, hopefully we'll bump into each other, actually meet each other in person, and or to see you at the opening of the film. That'd really, I look forward to that. But great concept of a film. It sounds like
Thanks.
it should be fun. Okay, man, thanks a
Thanks.
lot. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too.